Hello. Hey guys, long time no see. I haven't been recording videos for a while, and just want to give you guys an update. Well, there's few reasons that I was not able to update for quite some time. I mean, one, just been really busy with school, really busy. So yeah, honestly, I've been pretty stressed, and then along with like tics and anxiety and just being able to hold everything together and just keep it under control is already pretty exhausting on its own. And then on top of that, just a lot of homeworks, a lot of, things like that. And another thing is also I didn't want to give up update because I didn't have much to update, I guess. I guess um things hasn't had that much of a change, that there really wasn't. I mean, I can definitely give you guys a rundown of what happened lately the last few months. I think it's been 2 months maybe since I updated. It felt like about that time. And I know last time I left off at I was using neurofeedback to treat my dystonia. And so I did like 6 or 7 sessions of that. And no, actually, like I think 6 sessions. And pretty much me and the doctor kind of came up with a protocol, which was, I guess, pretty much telling my mind that, hey, if you do these movements, um, then you're not going to get rewarded. I don't know if all this makes sense to you, but in the previous like videos, I explained what neurofeedback is and like how it kind of trains neuroplasticity. I can never say the word, but you know what I mean. Like, and just creating new like neural pathways in your brain to, I guess, yeah. So pretty much like how it works is you sit at their office, you watch a video of your choice, usually like for 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. And then what happens is during that time, they measure your brain waves. And whenever it's matching whatever protocol you set, that means you're doing what you should be doing in your brain, then a movie switch on. And if you're thinking, you're doing like, you're like, say if you're for example, you're treating OCD, for example. So whenever you're having compulsive thinking or using that pathway that they can kind of see through your, brain maps, the movie turns off, meaning that, so over time, your brain learns that, oh, okay, if I go this way and do this, I get a reward by watching the movie. And if I do these things, then I don't get that reward. Then, the movie turns off. So through positive reinforcement, you can start to learn new neural pathways in your brain, and eventually you just start to think differently. Your mind functions differently. So it's really cool. And so we came up with a protocol to pretty much whenever I'm ticking, the movie switches off. And whenever I'm not, the movie switches on. And to get that brain map, I pretty much had to tick and tell the person, like, hey, I'm about to start ticking. And then they could write down the time. So then they take those increments of time and created the protocol, the protocol for me. But there were a few problems with that, because one is it's really hard to explain because my tick doesn't just does it and then stop and does it and stop. It kind of in a way like could be continuous. There is no start to it. Like you just kind of like, it's almost like I zone into it in my mind and it just happens and actually feels really good, which is weird. And so they're really like, it's hard to tell her like start, stop, start, stop. And by saying that too, I get distracted, and that kind of affects my tick actually, because everything is sort of just neurological, So when I focus on something else, it kind of does either make it better or make it worse and things like that. So Yeah, so it was just hard to get accurate data in order to create a prototype, I feel like. But also, by just training it to not tick, I noticed that my tick kind of did get less, but my dystonia didn't get better. It just, without ticking, my dystonia got worse. I feel more of the crushing sensations, for example, or the twisting, those kind of sensations I mentioned with dystonia. So I'm actually anything more uncomfortable because, literally things are like twisting inside of me. You might not see it, I might not be ticking, but it's still there, but worse. So I guess, yeah, so I guess after, 5 sessions, I told the person that was helping me, because I told her, hey, like I don't see any kind of significant difference at all, because she's like, oh, the doctor wants you to like do 10 protocols. Usually it's always minimum of 10, so they can kind of tell you like, okay, hey, we did 10, that's a standard number, we don't see any improvement, so this is not working. But I didn't want to pay for sessions. 5 sessions is actually a lot of money, and not see any improvement. So I told her, hey, like after 5, I don't see any difference, because usually if something's working, it'll show like improvements like after even the second session, for me at least. So yeah, so we kind of stopped that and we created. So I told him, hey, like, and during this whole time, my anxiety was getting worse, like very bad, and I feel like I was going back into my old ways of, feeling very, very, very on edge. And my compulsion, my OCD, I never noticed before, like just gotten so bad I couldn't control a lot of things. So then I told her, like, why don't we work? And I feel like my compulsion has a lot to do with my tick, because I'm so compulsive, that when I start to think about, like, whenever I just, like that brief split second I zone into thinking about my tick, I just sort of like hone in on it. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I just can't take my mind off it, which just makes me tick more. So yeah, so I just completely lost my train of thoughts. But yeah, so okay, so I told the doctor that we should, like, if you can create a prototype for focus on my anxiety and OCD again, and we work on the tics later. But then we actually came up, and I was like, if we were to treat dystonia, we can't just treat a tic. We have to treat what's causing the tic, which is the dystonia. So I said, hey, whenever I feel dystonia, like it's pretty much, like I felt like, I'm sorry, like the story gets long and like it's hard to explain things without having like references, and the references are also long. But so whenever I feel dystonia, like I feel tensions in my head or in my body, things like that, but especially in my head, in my jaw, here under my eye, like just kind of like all over my scalp. And so by doing that, I get a lot of tension in my head. So it actually screws up the brain map when they're trying to read it. Instead of like just really nice lines like this, mine's just like really, really tight, like, it's like sporadic lines. So which is actually bad for them because they can't read the data. But I told them that, hey, like, now that we know that's dystonia, so why don't we create a prototype that targets that? Whenever my brain, like whenever they measure it and my brain map is doing that, that means I'm having dystonia, even though I'm not ticking. Then we can turn the movie off. And then whenever it seems less, more spread out, less normal, less tension, then, I get rewarded. And hopefully this way it teaches me, like, when you think that way, that happens, and then, you don't get what you want, sort of. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does to you guys. I really hope it does, because it makes a lot of sense in my mind. And yeah, so I actually started that prototype for about, I think, 5 sessions now. And of course, it makes me feel much better, because just the anxiety and compulsion part alone, definitely helps. You guys can see I'm not ticking this much. But that's also because, one, I'm at home. I'm safe environment almost. And two, I guess, I'm trying my hardest not to think about it right now, actually. I feel it everywhere. I feel my shoulder, I feel it in my face, but I don't know. I personally, I guess, I don't want to tell you guys that it's better because I don't know. I feel like it's slightly better, but, I don't want to make early promises because I feel like I have gone through so much of this where I think things are working and really it isn't. So I want to wait for a few more sessions before I can give you guys an honest review of whether this helps or not, and if not, what's the next approach. But I think I'm on the right track, and I'm glad that I can be here and record this and hopefully help you guys also in some ways, and at least let this experience be known, I guess, and so yeah, so I'll keep you guys updated, and I hope you guys are doing well, and yeah, catch you later.